Hey there, welcome back. So I'll jump right into the Return to Sabaody arc very shortly. I just first have to talk about the end of the last arc because somehow my notes about Haki got put into the Return to Sabaody arc instead of last one. This is why I normally don't read two arcs at once before filming the previous one. So we have explanations for what Haki is and the different types of it, and it just answered a lot of questions of what was going on. We have three different types of Haki, which I'm going to pronounce the names wrong. Kenbon Shoku Haki, Bushoku Haki, and Hao Shoku Haki, or Observational Haki, Arms Haki, and Haki of the Supreme King. For obvious reasons, I'm going to be using the English translations when I talk about these. I really like each type. I especially like the idea of observational Haki. This explains what we've seen in Skypiea with being able to sense what was on the island, as well as Koby in the war arc, feeling like the voices in his head and feeling everyone around him. Being able to sense and anticipate approaching attacks and just knowing where people are too. I really like the idea of observational Haki and how it can be applied not just to attacks, but just like sensing where either comrades or enemies are in a location. Arms Haki is the type of Haki where you're adding power to an attack. So this explains how even though Luffy was made of rubber, when he was fighting Boa's sisters, their physical attacks were hurting him. It also explains my darling love Mihawk, how he can use his sword attack to blast apart a ship. I'm assuming that's a form of arms Haki. And then clearly the Haki of the Supreme King is what I assumed it would be, and that's overwhelming weaker opponents, overwhelming them with your will versus theirs, and if your will's stronger, it knocks them out, is kind of how I'm interpreting that. Going back to Arms Haki real quick, hypothetical question. If someone is, maybe hypothetically ate a Logia type fruit and was made of magma, just top of my head, random element, could the Arms Haki then be used to punch his head off? Or torture him in some way and kill them, even though they're made of magma? Would the magma hurt you for touching them, even though you've engaged the Arms Haki? And even if it hurt you, can you still punch their head off? Completely hypothetical question with no bearing to previous arcs. Moving on. We are now 2 years in the future. Luffy has completed his training. Rayleigh has left after about 6 months ago as he's taught all the basics and Luffy's just practicing and using these types of Haki. We learn also that some people kind of specialize in one form of Haki. Obviously, not everyone gets the Haki of the Supreme King, but you can learn all the types. You just kind of need to be gifted the Supreme King one. Before I go into Luffy, let's talk about Boa. Boa is so happy that the 2 years are up because now she can go see Luffy. She promised Rayleigh that she wouldn't interfere with his training. And she comes, she brings his favorite food, and it's just like, hey, I brought all your favorite food. Wouldn't I make a good wife? And Luffy's just like, thanks for the food, but no, I'm not going to marry you. And later on, when they're leaving the island, and Luffy says that he doesn't say goodbye because he always intends to see people again, she's like, He said he'd miss me. He'll see me again. Does this mean we're engaged? And then the background's the older woman just go, no! So I really like Boa. It's really, really cute seeing the contrast between her narcissistic, full of herself, looks up when she's looking down at somebody kind of personality and self, contrast with her sweet, shy, timid self around Luffy. So I like the contrast. It's cute. I just don't want this to become her personality, so I'm a little worried just in general how she's going to be handled going forward. I want to see the strong narcissistic self. That also annoys me sometimes because she does take it to the extreme. I don't know how I feel about Boa. I really don't, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in the future. That's all I have to say about her. Monkey D. Luffy. My sweet, sweet, sweet boy, seeing him pick up the straw hat and put it on, saying, all right, I'm going to go get my crew. Oh, that hit me. I loved it so much, and I feel so, so bad for anyone who had to wait actual years and time to get to this moment of them returning. Because, oh my god, my sweet boy Monkey D. Luffy, I am so happy I can just read straight through this series, because if I had to wait week for week, or long breaks, I don't know what I'd do with myself. There also seems to be a change in Luffy. He seems more confident, more sure of himself. And I might be projecting a little bit. I'm not really sure if he actually is, but I'm just so, so excited to see him get back together with his crew. I'm so excited to see him stronger, more powerful. I don't want him to fail anymore. He's failed enough. This boy has had enough heartache. So he's on his way back to Sabaody along with the rest of the crew. Now, because Marineford leveled, the HQ base of the Marines have moved to the New Worlds. I think Smoker is in charge of it since Sengoku's retirement. Want to see more what's going on with Sengoku. I want to see more with Garp. There's a lot I just want to know what they're up to. But anywho, the crew slowly starts trickling in. Sanji, I believe, is the 7th to arrive, and he's immediately looking for Nami and Robin. He says goodbye to Iva's group, who he's been training with. And first side note, he's starting to bug me because he hasn't seen quote unquote real women in 2 years. Now he's getting nosebleeds, and I have started Fishman Islands arc, so I'm going to talk about this right now, like nosebleeds shooting him up into the sky, like he's completely overwhelmed every time he sees a woman. So that gag is probably going to be driving me crazy for the next arc, and it didn't bother me so much in this one, but I started to notice it. So I'm not looking forward to that personality advancement. Cut to Nami at a bar. She's just there for a drink. And then Luffy, or fake Luffy, is there with his fake crew and is hitting on her like, hey, come have a drink with us. And she's like, no, I'm too good for you. Leave me alone. I'm waiting for somebody. And this fake Luffy, who is assembling a crew, Cat Burglar Nami goes over to intimidate Nami, and she is having absolute none of it. Like, you're not worth my time. I'm not even going to spare you a glance. And before she can handle it, a carnivorous man-eating plant thing, monster plant, attacks the fake Nami, and it's Usopp, and he's back, and he's just like, I've gotten more powerful, I'm a true warrior now, and I'm going to ignore the gag of Nami just crushing him to her chest. It is because it's just so nice to see them reunited. The crew coming back together. I am so happy that they're just together again. They leave, the chaos with the plant is going on, and Nami has her new weapon, and she's at clouds and black balls and lightning and explosions, and she's just casually walking off with her bags as she just took out the entire bar. I am so, so excited to see her new weapon. I really, really, really like the idea of her with weather manipulating powers just as it relates to her role as a navigator and having to understand weather patterns and how they occur and how to manipulate air currents and hot and cold air. I really, really like that for her. We learned Zoro was actually the first to arrive on the island, and at first, I'm like, how the hell did this directionally challenged man make it to Sabaody before anyone else? Thankfully, this was explained as Peronia, Ghost Girl, was the one to get him to the island, and I'm very excited. I want to see flashbacks with him and her on the creepy islands with Mihawk and him training. I want to see their dynamic. I like that he now has allies or friends, or at least allies, outside of the crew. I like how each crew member now has a different group that are just their friends that they've made over the past 2 years. And quite obviously, we have to get flashbacks with Zoro and my darling love Mihawk. Because even if Oda didn't want to drop that in the manga, the editors would make him. So I can't wait for flashbacks of that, but I really hope we also get a dynamic between him and Peronia. I hope I'm saying that right. I loved his reunion with Sanji. I love the hostility is the wrong word, but conflict, rivalry, banter, just how they clash. It's just always a good dynamic, and I love how he's calling him number 7. It's reflecting back on, like, when he was Pirate B, and I just love their banter. I love how Zoro wanted to go fishing, so he asked an old man to take him fishing, only to get on a pirate boat instead of a fishing boat. And then when the pirate boat went underwater to, I guess, soon go to Fishman Island or the New World, Zoro thought he was being kidnapped, even though he was actually stowing away, and just cut the boat in half, and they came back up. Oh, it's so good. He got definitely a different character design. We have the eye is cut, I guess an injury. We're just going to have to get some explanation on that. And then they're going off, and we're cut to, I believe, Frankie is explained to be out at the Thousand Sunny, making any repairs, any upgrades that he needs to do. And was it Duval had been protecting the ship all this time. God, I love Duval. I can't lose another ship. I cannot lose another ship. I like Frankie's new design for the most part. I wasn't sure about the hair until Usopp touched his nose, and his hair, which was like shaved-ish, popped out. And it's just like, oh, he can have any hairstyle he wants. Excellent. Love it. Completely approve. Robin she arrived shortly after, or shortly before. Doesn't matter. Around time Sanji did, and is hiding or on the run from some group, because obviously she was with the revolution, and now people are after her again. And because we have this fake group of the fake Luffy, fake Zoro, Sanji, Sniper King, and all that, we also have a fake Robin. And Chopper actually sees fake Robin being kidnapped, and when Chopper talks to fake, don't care which of the fakes, two of the fakes, and it's just like, what are we going to do? Robin's been kidnapped. She's on her own. How dare you? And he's running off, and he's so upset, and it makes so much sense because he still probably holds so much guilt for losing her the first time, like losing sight of her when back at Enies Lobby. It's like, no, I'm not just going to give up on Robin. We're going to go get her. And he runs off to go find her, only to run into the real Nami, and Robin learn everyone's okay, and then he's all right bashful, like, oh, people are reading fake us, we're famous, I should, like, practice my signature. And it's just cute and wholesome, and they're back together, and you see the love of this crew. Back to Robin real quick, my sweet darling girl. So I need flashbacks of what happened with her these past 2 years, or a full manga of what she's been up to the past 2 years. Like, she was in a slave camp building a bridge that was 200 years they've been working on this bridge and it's still not completed. I don't know, like, why are we building this bridge? What's the purpose of this bridge? How did the revolution get her out of said slave camp? What was she doing with the revolution? Did she learn more about the ancient history, that gap, 100 years that has been missing? I need to know what my sweet darling girl has been up to. We then go to Brook, who is a famous musician, concerts going on, and this is his farewell tour. And during when the government comes to arrest him, he's just like, Monkey D. Luffy is alive, announces that to everybody, and then the Duval pirates come and kind of rescue him, and he's gone off to meet the rest of the crew. And then finally, Monkey D. Luffy, my darling, darling boy, is the last to arrive. He arrives on the island with his big, giant pack of food and clothes, and I think toothbrushes and everything from Boa, and a fake mustache to hide his identity, and he's going along, and he bumps into fake Luffy. And fake Luffy had just, like, shot 2 people thinking that they were Nami and Usopp, but then he realized they weren't. It's like, oh, I gotta find these people who embarrassed me. So when Luffy bumps into him, he's just like, how dare you? And he's trying to intimidate him. And Luffy is just having none of it. You're not worth this man's time. So when Luffy finally gets bored enough of this, he just unleashes the Haki and knocks everyone out and continues to walk away. Oh my god, I love Luffy. However, Luffy eventually gets led by, I think it's fake Sanji and fake Zoro, back to the area where fake Luffy is, and fake Luffy has this crowd of very serious and dangerous pirates that he's amassed into his crew under the assumption that they're following the real Monkey D. Luffy, grandson of Garp, son of the revolutionary dragon, like all this to his name. He's going to be the next pirate king. And they're like, we caught the guy who embarrassed you, let's make an example of him, only for, what's his name? Sentomaru, something like that. Along with the 2 robot Kuma pacifistas coming in because they had gotten word that Monkey D. Luffy was here. So they're come to stop him, to eliminate him, and they find the fake guy. And the pacifists are attacking, and the pirates can't hold them off, so they're like, hey, fake Luffy, help us out, take this guy down. And only for Sentomaru being like, this guy is the fake, but we got a sense that the real Monkey D. Luffy is here. And we get the coolest scene ever, because when the fake, no, not fake, fake Kuma, not Kuma, robot Kuma, pacifist, or whoever he is, shoots at Luffy. Once they lock onto him, they know who he is. Luffy's just like unimpressed, moves his head out of the way, light beam laser shoots past him each time. He's just like too slow. And it is beautiful. He activates Gear 2 and then just one punches this Kuma guy that had been such a threat to him 2 years prior. This is the same model that attacked them when they were originally on Sabaody and overwhelmed his entire crew, and before other Kuma came and sent them all off everywhere, and they couldn't take him down. Even when they did, it took all of them together. And then Luffy is able to one punch him into the ground, into a crater. And everyone is just shocked at the power that he has and how much he's grown in the strength that he has. You then get the real Zoro and Sanji running up to him, and Luffy, of course, recognizes him like, yeah, now I know it's you guys. For the second pacifista Kuma robot to come in, and then Sanji and Zoro both take him out, and Sanji's just like, I snapped his neck. Zoro's like, I cut him in half. It was me who took him out. So we know everyone has just gotten so much stronger. And now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore, with all my heart and soul, the so casually moving your head out of the way as the attack goes, and you're just like, too slow. Love it, I do. But there's one thing I adore even more, and that was when, so they're retreating to get back to the rest of the crew, and Rayleigh, tears in his eyes after hearing Luffy declare that he's going to be the Pirate King. He's going to go all the way, and he really believes in him and is so impressed with how far he's come. Rayleigh steps in front of the Marines that are coming after them and just draws a line in the sand. And I love that. Draw a line in the sand. It's like, you want to live to see tomorrow, you do not cross that line. He's just like, my boy needs to have a proper reunion. I'm not going to have you interrupt it. Do not cross this line. I love that moment so, so very much. Other Marines are coming from a different direction, but I'm going to say Peronia. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. Might be right. The negative ghosts go through them, and she's just like, get out of here, go, you're so rude to me, I'll handle these guys. You got, was it the Hercules? I don't know, someone with the Usopp's trainer with the giant beetles helping out. Nami's friends from the Sky Island are like, don't use lightning, we don't want to hit any civilians, but let's help Nami get away. Iva's group is taking care of them. The Boa's pirates and that, they're all holding off one of the boats, so my sweet, sweet darling crew can be reunited and head off to Fishman Island, and I'm just so, so happy for them. They're all back together, and I do want to go on a little bit of a note of what Luffy says once they're all together, and he's like, hey, Nami, can we get moving? And she's like, yes, Captain, and we're on the go. And I'm like, oh, she called him Captain, it's so sweet. He thanks them for going along with what he calls his selfish request or something like that. And then Sanji and Usopp are just like, it's always been this way, of course, not the first time. And the word selfish stuck out to me, and the more I think about it, it's just like, he asked them to wait 2 years instead of 2 days to meet up on this island. And maybe it was selfish of him to request that they put their own dreams on hold for 2 years. Like, Nami is a fantastic navigator. Sanji is a wonderful cook. They could have easily got on another pirate boat and set off for their dreams. Nami could be mapping the world. Sanji can be searching for the All Blue. Technically, they didn't need Luffy for that. However, what is the point of pursuing this dream if they're not with their friends, if they're not sailing with the Straw Hats? There was no point in, like, they didn't question it. They didn't even consider going with another crew because everyone's love of Luffy, respect for Luffy, wanting to be with him, protect him, be by his side, to have him achieve his own dreams is like above their own goals. We've seen this with Zoro and Sanji, who are both like was willing to give their life when Kuma attacked them to protect Luffy. Like, take my life instead of his. I will sacrifice me and my dream to keep him alive. They don't hesitate. Like, I didn't even consider the possibility of them leaving out because it doesn't make sense. They wouldn't. You have to stay with the Straw Hats. You have to stay together. What would have been selfish would have been Luffy saying, okay, we're meeting up in 2 days. I'm going to go pursue my dream. We're going to the new world. I'm going to be impulsive. I'm only going to think of myself and what I want and just go off into the new world. Instead, Luffy made the responsible decision to protect his crew and make sure everyone is ready for the danger that they know that they were not ready for at that moment, to get stronger, to be at a position where he is going to be strong enough to protect both himself, but more importantly his crew. So he'll never fail them again, so he'll never lose them. To have the power to protect them. I love Monkey D. Luffy so very much, and that was definitely not a selfish request for him to say, meet up in 2 years instead of 2 days. I am definitely reading too much into it, but I'm really interested in his mentality, because right now all I'm seeing is him wanting to protect his friends. And I love that so much for him. I'm so excited moving forward into Fishman Island. I have started it, but I'm not very far in. We're introduced to the Caribou Pirates, who are going to make an appearance now in Fishman Island. I assumed they were going to come into play. And I do need to talk about one little thing, because I'm terrible. TikTok has spoiled one minuscule but very notable moment, and I swear it's not my fault. It is my fault. Normally the cosplay videos are safe. My feed is almost 0% One Piece now, because I scroll past it so quick that the algorithm no longer shows me very much, if any, One Piece videos. But I still watch the people dressing up from different anime and different TV shows, so I still get the occasional One Piece cosplay. And normally they're safe. No spoilers and someone just dressing up as a character, except this time they said a character's full name, and I'm like, what did you just say? I am shocked. I didn't see it coming, and feel like an idiot, but did I miss that? I had to go back to when that character was introduced. I'm just like, no, it was not said. It works into one of my theories, though, but we'll get into that when it's actually revealed. You know who I'm talking about, I'm certain, when I say they said a character's full name. So that has been spoiled for me. I figured I'd let you know. I'm sorry for that. No more One Piece videos of any type, not even the cosplays, for TikTok. None, I promise. Is there anything else I need to say? I don't think so. So I'm going to be starting Fishman Island. I should have that read fairly shortly. For any of the long arcs, though, I might be splitting them up into 2 parts if there's a natural stopping point, just so I don't miss any important information. That is all I got. Clearly, I am loving this series. I will talk to you later.